Hello, and welcome to the Middlesex Chamber today. My name is John Guerin, and it's a pleasure to be with you once again as we talk about the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce. It's so many activities, and in particular, we're going to be talking about one of their favorites, one of our favorites too. It's the Cruise Night on Main Street, and that actually has a little longer title this year, which we'll go into in a second, but we are pleased to have with us Rich Greco, who's co-chair for the event this year. Welcome, Rich.
Thank you.
Good to have you. And Geoff Watson, General Manager for NAPA here in Middletown and the area. So it's good to have both of you here. And usually what I like to do, Geoff, this is your first time on the program, but usually I like to give each of you a chance to kind of tell our audience who you are and how you got involved in this event, and how you're involved with Middlesex County Chamber, et cetera, and perhaps a little bit about other things that you do. So why don't we open with that? And since Rich is a pro on this, why don't I start with him? Rich?
Well, I've been involved with the Chamber for probably 15 years now. After I retired 2 years ago, I wanted to stay involved and increase some of the activities that I donate my time to. Basically, I came in last year with a car show. It was my first year as a volunteer to see if I could lend some of my expertise from the Motorcycle Mania that I run. Okay, and of course, they don't refuse help. Okay, when you volunteer for life, I always say. There's only one way out, and that's to die, I believe. You know? Or Larry to tell you he doesn't want you anymore. But I've been involved in this event. This will be only my second year. And I believe it's the 17th or 18th year. 18th year.
Number 18.
That they've been running this. And it's, weather permitting, it tends to be a great turnout. But being a motorcycle and a car person, when it rains, some of us don't like taking our vehicles out. So it kind of hurts the attendance a little bit. But I noticed last year we had an influx of a lot more vendors.
Yes.
We were up to 30.
Yep.
Okay, for this event, which is great. And even before I let Geoff speak his piece, I want to thank him personally for coming on board as a sponsor, because we didn't have a major sponsor last year. And we were looking for someone, and NAPA stepped up to the plate, and that's great. I mean, company that knows cars.
And I think that probably is the perfect lead-in at this point, Geoff, to introduce you and have you speak a little bit. But the full title of this year's event is Middletown's 18th Annual Cruise on Main Street, powered by NAPA.
That's right.
So as the title sponsor this year, we're really excited to have you here. And again, let me turn things over to you just for a few minutes.
Well, thanks so much. And I've been in Connecticut area for about just a year and a half now. I've been with NAPA and Genuine Parts Company for close to 22 years and lived in different places all over the country. So I grew up on the East Coast, so coming back to the East Coast, we made a trip west and now back east. And since I've been here, we've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And my predecessors, both the folks that were for me before I was here, have been members there. And we've always been excited when the week came around to see the car show, because when it all boils down to it, we're car people and we're car enthusiasts, and it's even very hard to schedule all my folks during that day, because everybody wants to take off and go see the car show. So we have that going on at the same time. But since our distribution center for most all of Connecticut, parts of New York, Rhode Island, Vermont, and a corridor in Massachusetts is located here in Middletown, it really makes sense that since it's in our backyard, and since we really feel like we are the automotive folks with the NAPA know-how, that we'd get behind it and really step up to the table this year and be the big sponsor that we felt like you needed. And we want to be part of the community. And there's really nothing more that I felt like put our face on something as nice as a car show could.
Very good. Excellent. And this year, of course, we probably should tell people when it's going to be. The big date is going to be what?
That would be June 10th. And it starts at 4:30 and ends at 8:30.
Very nice. And it's again, we hope for great weather on June 10th. One of those things you don't have a lot of control over in an outdoor event, but it's a wonderful thing. And of course, it does have a rain date, should that occur on June 10th.
Right, that would be the 17th, the week after.
The week following. Very good. And, the car show and being car people, there's so much. I mean, roughly how many cars did they have last year?
I think they said close to 1,000.
Yeah, because I remember
It's about an average number.
the television stations were carrying the coverage of the event, and they were up and down Main Street, and showing some of the cars during the course of the 6 o'clock news,
Right.
and then through the evening. But the crowds have just gotten bigger and bigger each year.
Well, if you have 1,000 cars, you have 1 or 2 folks that come with the car.
Right.
And then you've got an additional 3 or 4 folks that don't have a car that wish they had a car and want to come see exactly what they think that they could find for themselves out there and what they like. When I was, growing up and looking at cars, I had a grandfather that ran a gas station. And so you always saw things that came in and out of there, and especially folks that had hot rods and fixed things up. And so that's really where you get a chance to look at things and say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, or where you get your wife to pull to the side and say, that's the color we want right there. And, you can play the good game with your wife if you're smart enough to maybe set the table for one in the future.
Right, and it is a colorful event. I will
yes.
give that. There's always something going on. When you look up and down Main Street, and again, this is one of those cases where we love Middletown's Main Street.
Absolutely.
Because it is so nice and wide. You've got cars just up and down on both sides. It's just a beautiful, beautiful event. And what kind of specials are you getting into this year, Rich? I know there's usually a couple of extras that we look forward to besides the cars themselves, making this a very special
Well,
event.
we do have a special guest from right over the river here in Portland, Wayne Creaney. And people might know Wayne from his TV show on Velocity called Chasing Classic Cars. All right, so he comes, he occupies a space right in front of Liberty Bank, one of our sponsors, and he puts 6 cars there, and he hangs around there in the restaurant once in a while with his crew, and they bring in some great cars, some resto mods, et cetera, that they have done recently in the shop or some of his employees own.
Right.
And Wayne's very great. He's approached me, helps us with our awards. He'll pose with some of the winners there, and if you want his autograph, I guess we'll give it out too. But he does that gratis, so we don't pay him for it.
Yeah.
It's his way of giving back to the community.
And it's nice to have somebody with his talent and character to walk the show and look at some of those cars, because folks that have those cars that have spent so much time and
yeah.
so much work into them, when they see someone like Wayne that will, spend the time to look it over, then that's a huge nod to them.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it is. And it's good for downtown business, too. It brings people to the city, to downtown, that may have ordinarily not gone there. So it gives them exposure to what's available in downtown Middletown.
Certainly. Yeah, and with the hours 4:30 to 8:30, if people are coming down during the dinner hour, there are a few places to eat.
Yeah, about 35 of them.
Yeah, more than a few.
That is one of the amazing things. I think when people come to Middletown for the first time and they come to Main Street and they see all of the choices of places to eat, it brings a lot of people back, over and over again, which is wonderful, of course. And of course, talking about people who come back over and over again, we've got some wonderful sponsors who are involved in the program again this year, and I know we don't want to miss anybody, as far as going through that, but people will be able to see the flyer that is available, and I know that's available at the chamber.
Correct.
At this point, and of course, all of the people who are involved in this are certainly going to be happy to take part in it. But I'm just seeing names like Jackson Chevrolet, Middletown Area Transit. These are a couple of the folks who I know have been involved from the beginning, as has Liberty Bank, and of course, the Chamber of Commerce plays a little bit of a role.
And the city of Middletown, too, both.
The city of Middletown, very much a part of things. AAA. I mean, again, how do you manage to keep getting sponsors coming back year after year, Rich?
You ask.
Okay.
Real simple. I mean, that's how I got Wayne Creaney to come. I went over to see him last year and said, we got a car show. I see you there all the time, sitting down with your group and having a meal, having a beer. I said, would you consider helping us out? And then he said, sure, right away. In fact, even before the event was over last year, before I could approach him, he came to me, said, would you like to have me back? And I said, oh, you beat me to the punch, but sure, yeah, So it was great. It was a good experience for him and all the people, and he enjoyed it enough that he volunteered his services right away.
Well, speaking as as one of the sponsors and the main sponsor here, I think it has a lot to do with the reputation you build, and you've built a reputation of putting on a great show that a lot of folks come to and bring a lot of cars from all over the area, from sometimes some good distances away.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you have a reputation like that, you get folks like NAPA who want to participate and want to put their name on an organization and an event that's classy and feels like represents the best interest of our companies, as well as what the Chamber is doing here in Middletown.
Well, I was going to say, too, as title sponsor this year, which is, again, something everybody is very excited about, having NAPA involved in the show as a title sponsor. Where NAPA is such a large company, again, you talk, it's 90 years now?
90 years. Next month, we'll be celebrating our 90th year.
Okay. And, again, covering such a large area, you must have seen so many different cruise nights, car shows, things like this that you run into across the country. How does Middletown stack up, as far as
I think that's a great question. And there are so many different car clubs that use so many different methods in order to have their cars displayed. What we really look for is, first of all, the right area. And having the downtown area that Middletown has, as wide as it is, and able to get cars, really 4 lines of cars all the way down Main Street. And it's a perfect straight line. It's very, very clean. Folks can walk easily. The access to restaurants that are there and the other businesses that will support the event that's going on. That's really the kind of grassroots effort we want to be a part of. And so there are a lot of car shows that take place, as well as part swaps at tracks and at local high schools throughout the year, and we think those are great because every car show that we go to, you find something you like and you find something different. And I have 2 boys, and I love taking them because that's 2 days of having stuff to talk about that we all relate to, and it doesn't have anything to do with computers or some of the stuff that is nonverbal communication that goes on in the houses these days with growing up little boys. So it's something that I think a whole family can get involved with.
Right.
And those are the things that we look forward to being a
Excellent.
part of.
That's excellent. And in terms of families, that's always something I know with the downtown events that you usually encourage in a very big way.
Oh, we see a lot of families down there, quite a few. And if you're a parent who's, restored a car, an old muscle car, when you were younger and you still have it, your kid sees it and he enjoys it. So that brings the kids down. They see all these cars and they go crazy. It's a good family event, and that's the way we've structured it to be a family event.
Right. Well, this is, again, 18 years. Something has to have been going right.
Absolutely.
During the course of the event. But it's back again, June 10th this year, 4:30 to 8:30, and we're certainly encouraging people to stop by. And if you're wondering what you're watching, this is Middlesex Chamber Today, and we are talking about the 18th annual Middletown Cruise Night on Main, powered by NAPA. And that's, again, that little extra piece that we're adding on this year is something very special, and again, very grateful to NAPA for their title sponsorship.
Well, thanks. And it really is powered by our NAPA know-how, because that's really what we put our weight in, is our people. And the ability that they have to know car parts, to know what you're asking for, and to be able to support it, especially here in Middletown with $15 million worth of inventory in our warehouse right here that's open to the public.
Yeah.
And so any of these folks that need a part on their way, and we'll certainly have a booth there, we will have some of the right products for car shows out so they can see some of the latest and greatest polishers and ways to keep their car clean and jacks and things like that. So it'll be a great event for us to be able to show off some of the new technology that some companies like 3M or some other folks, McGuire's and others, folks have that are great at polishing cars and keeping them up to restoration value that folks expect.
And Jeff, you work right out of the Newfield operation on the Middletown-Cromwell border there?
That's right.
on Route 3?
That's where our headquarters is for NAPA in Connecticut. And like I said, we service pieces of 5 states here, but we also have sister distribution centers in Boston and Maine and Albany and New Jersey.
Wow.
And even Syracuse, and on their 63 NAPA distribution centers throughout the country.
Wow.
And so all of us feel like we really have to play a part in our local communities. And really, something like this makes it easy.
Sure. Well, and again, too, and Rich, I know we've talked about it. Of course, the cruise night is what we're focusing on now, but we've also talked about Motorcycle Mania, which
Right.
we'll get to at another time.
Another-
But
And we sell motorcycle parts too.
I understand, yes.
but it's just amazing when you talk about the people who get involved in their automobiles, the people who bring them in for display. So I'm sure they're looking to NAPA, and other sources for the ideas of what they're going to do with their vehicles and how they're going to display them, how they're going to make it special for the people who come down. What kind of folks do you run into that way, Rich?
We run into young, like teenage boys, all the way up to guys my age and older, in their 60s and 70s that
Young guys.
young
guys.
young older gentlemen. Okay, and in fact, I've been working on. I have two sons, and one of them's in Rhode Island, the other's right here in Middlefield. And I thought I had him coming last year with his Firebird, and he got sick.
Okay.
So he's been spending the last 2 months getting it, prime and proper, ready to go to bring to the show. He's got a '68 Firebird ragtop.
Nice.
So I said, you need to bring it to the show, and you need to come with it one of these times. So he said he's all set to come this year. But on top of that, let me bring up the point that there is a $5 donation fee for the cars to come in.
Yeah.
And that money that we get on the donations goes to the Middletown Mentor Program and the Park and Rec Program for children in the Middletown area.
Right.
So it's a worthy cause, and people don't seem to have a problem, shelling out $5 for that cause.
Yeah, and it is nice to see, because it's certainly the mentor program. We've had programs that we've done here just featuring the mentor
Right.
program itself, and there's so much going on with Parks and Recs in terms of helping find things for kids to be doing during the course of the year. That has to be, does that play a part too in terms of how something like this, where funds go, on something
Oh, absolutely.
like this?
NAPA as a company sponsors the Intrepid Fallen Hero Fund, where we give 100% of all the donations that we give to the Intrepid Fallen Heroes who work on building and working with diseases of soldiers who have come back, mostly mental disorders that sometimes go, what we thought of in the early wars as shell shock and then post-traumatic stress disorder now. Those folks can go undiagnosed for many, many years. And we've chosen to partner with the Intrepid Fallen Heroes because of the fact that 100% of all that money goes back to the soldiers.
Right.
And that's just the same that you were doing here with that $5 donation. And I'd say, that's a suggestion as a minimum donation. We'll certainly take more money because the mentor program is a wonderful program, and
Yes.
there's so many young men and women who don't have the opportunities that others have had. And that makes it important to know that who you're partnering with on any event like this cares enough about the community to put money back into it.
Well, I think, again, the idea that it's a real community program, it's a community-based program, has been from the very beginning. And, Rich, we've talked about this, too, in terms of getting people involved in that process during the course of the year, because it just doesn't happen
Right.
by itself. You've got folks who work all year long, really, on this, not necessarily 100% every day. A few of them do have jobs and businesses to take care of and whatnot. But if somebody's interested in getting involved in the cruise night on Maine, if they haven't had a chance to be involved this year, but they might like to be in the future, what did they do?
They contact the chamber, and in particular, the contact person would be Kathy Duncan. Okay, she's kind of the overall coordinator of all our downtown events.
Right.
And I'd tell folks not to be intimidated by what you can do. A lot of folks are nervous about volunteering and don't know exactly what their talents are, but they kind of underestimate themselves because there's always enough for someone to do, little or small. We've got plenty of tasks for them to do that could be a part of this great donation.
Yeah, and that is the thing, too, with the Middlesex County Chamber. We often bring that up and try to on this program, letting people know that really it is a volunteer-based organization. Businesses and individuals will join the chamber, certainly as membership, but they are out there as volunteers, giving their time and energy, to things they really enjoy. And this is just one example of that type of an activity.
And it increases the overall health of your entire community.
It really does. There's so much to it. I know how that's how Rich got pulled into this. As I said, it just kind of goes on and on. But Kathy Duncan is just one of the folks down at the Chamber, a small but very dedicated staff that does a great job of helping things, come together, programs like this. And it involves some time and some energy on their part, certainly. And Kathy's a great person to talk to. She and I work together on a number of different programs over the years. But we are getting down to I'd say about the last 4 minutes of the program, and there's certainly, I don't want to leave any stone unturned, in terms of talking about what's here. Is there anything that we haven't really gone into yet that you think needs a little bit of spotlight, needs a little bit of idea of what's going to be happening on June 10th between 4:30 and 8:30?
Well, there will be quite a few vendors again this year. Some car-related, some not car-related. We try to gear it mostly to car-related vendors. There'll be some food vendors there in addition. Like I said, we had 30 vendors last year. Just try to remind people that the event starts at 4:30, not at 2:30 or 1:30. Some like to come down and grab a parking spot on Main Street early. And we don't close Main Street down till around 3:30. And the reason we close part of it off at 2 is so the vendors can set up.
Sure.
And so if for anyone coming, make sure that you don't come too early and park. We did almost have to tow a vehicle last year because it was taking the place where our stage goes. And
Well, they could come to Napa and shop for
There
a
you
couple
go.
hours before they come in if they'd like to.
But be observant of the times.
Sure.
We will have an overflow area. If people come in a little early, we can hold them off to the side until we're ready to open Main Street. And last on that is, the police and the fire department, Public Works play a big part in this for us.
Yes.
As far as controlling traffic, blocking off roads. Without them, we couldn't survive.
Yeah, well, every major event that we have, we always do want to give recognition to the city of Middletown and, the job that they're really doing in helping put these things together. It adds a layer of involvement that I think makes everybody a little bit more comfortable.
Right.
As far as
Sure.
that goes. Now, as a sponsor, and especially title sponsor, Geoff, what other thoughts might you have about the Cruise Night on Main?
Well, we're looking for a record-setting event this year and hope we have the most cars that we've ever brought in and the most folks that we've ever brought in. Like I said, we're going to take some chances to showcase some stuff that we have, but more importantly, we just get to be a part of it.
Right.
And all of Napa, gets to see the kind of cars, the kind of people, and they get to see the kind of town that we have. So we'll have some of our independent store owners come in. We service almost 80 independent store owners from around the area, and so they'll get to come in and see and be a part of it. And they love taking because they can take ideas back to their communities of stuff they can do for their local car shows that they see. So to have such a big signature event here in our own backyard is something we just felt compelled to be a part of.
No, that's great. That is great. And, we're getting ready to wrap things up here. I guess the biggest thing is just letting people know where this is going to happen, which is on Main Street in Middletown, Connecticut. And it's going to be on June 10th from 4:30 to 8:30. A great time. There will be hundreds and hundreds of cars for people to take a look at. A lot of terrific vendors. And again, we want to thank all our sponsors. Throughout the program, we've been putting up the Middlesex County Chamber website, so you can certainly, as a viewer, go there and take a look at it.
All the flyers are there.
The flyers.
All the sponsorships are there, so they really can see the total package. And there's some pictures from some previous events on the website as well.
Oh, very, and again, just give you just a taste of what it might look like.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot more fun in person. And if it happens to be a beautiful day, just come spend the full 4 hours.
Absolutely.
But again, to our guests on the program tonight, I would like to say thank you again to Geoff Watson, General Manager for NAPA here at the Distribution Center in Connecticut, and to Rich Greco, co-chair of this year's event. Thank you both for having been
Thank
with
you.
us.
It was a pleasure.
And for all you, our viewers, we thank you for having spent some time with us. And this is John Guerin for the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce saying thank you and so long.